Welcome to the Oil and Gas Sales and Marketing Podcast, where every week your hosts Mark LaCour and Matt Bertram share proven strategies and real-world tactics to help you connect with customers and close more deals. Let's do this.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Oil and Gas Sales and Marketing Podcast by OGGN. My name is Matt Bertram. I'm here at the Sell Well Conference and Norris Conference Center in Memorial City area, Houston. And I have Ian Uarte with me to talk about long-form selling of his well production tool using AI. Is that, did I get it right there?
Yeah, you got it right, Matt. Thanks.
Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So today we're going to talk about, how you approach sales and how you train your salespeople to reach people where you know you have a lot of different stakeholders that you're trying to reach.
You know, I've been in the industry on and off, but mostly on, I think, 20 out of my 30-year career, you know. And I started as a MWD field engineer back in the days with Baker Hughes back in 1995, and moving to the NOV for a while, and, you know, so it's been on and off for a while. But in the mid-2000s, I worked for IBM, and a lot of the sales was also associated with, you know, working with big enterprises, you know, with the projects with the majors, you know, and then the last 16 years, I own a technology solutions company called Timbergrove here in Houston, and you know, lots of stories. I mean, I think for oil and gas, in terms of the enterprise, the first thing for me is that you're not selling once, right? What you're doing is securing the next meeting. That's all you're doing, right? But there's so many stages. There's so many stakeholders, you know, especially if you're selling to the larger enterprises, you know, you got to secure many stakeholders, right? You have usually the specialist who has the head on, you know, their hair on fire, you know, they're trying to solve the problem, and they're the ones who cannot sleep because they have, you know, goals, and or they're producing or drilling, or they're doing something associated with, you know, getting the assets to produce, right? That's those people are the ones that you need to gain their attention usually first, right?
So one of the questions I have is the mid-sized producers, right? That's like a whole different game.
It is.
And then the majors, I've seen people go in under other MSAs that people have had as like a subcontractor because the process is so...
It's very long, very long. You know, we had luck, I guess, in sometimes that we have been in front of the right set of stakeholders at the right time, meaning, you know, their bonuses are tied to it, or, you know, something is happening that, or there's a problem they've been trying to solve for years with no solution. And at some point, there's either a change of leadership or something's happening, so we have to do something now. So, you know, timing is important too, right? I mean, it's not all, you know, I'm a great salesman and I can do anything, right? A sales, you know, ice to the Eskimos or anything like that. It is more like I can, is being in front of the right people at the right time, which means persistency. Because I had customers that, you know, maybe we run into a conference and this 2 years later, and we're having the same conversation, but now they're ready to act, right? So, yeah, I think with the mid-sized operators is a lot of gaining their trust, right? Initially of that specialist or the person who is in charge of the operation, you know? And then next is, you know, obviously you have to, at some point you're going to have to gain the trust of their bosses, their managers or their directors, you know.
So what is your approach? Like, do you frame going after the executive suite differently? And then when you're talking to the line people to get their boss's approval, are you working top down and bottom up?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, both approaches, right? So we market, you know, our materials and our conferences and everything for both, right? Very different messages.
Messaging,
very different message, right? And very different conversations to be had, right? At the executive level, you don't have to be an expert in the technical side, but with the mid-level managers, you need to understand really well what you're talking about, right? And so you have to demonstrate competency in the technical side as well, you know?
So there's typically like salespeople, and then there's maybe like a technical support lead that comes in.
Yep.
If someone's trying to like get into oil and gas sales, or they're new in oil and gas sales, because it's a consultative sale,
it is.
You have to know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Like, you're not just selling features and benefits here, right? Like you have to understand the problem. You got to understand the pain points, and you got to be able to speak their language. That's why I think that there's such a gap of industries that are trying to sell into oil and gas.
It is. I think part of it is, there is this, I don't know what will be the right word, but, people are a little tired of getting pitched at. And, I tell you as an example, right? We were in a conversation we were brought to the table by a large systems integrator and software, developer. And so we came into the table because the previous group that they brought in said the words in a meeting with the CIO of that company, of the oil and gas company, that data is data, right? And immediately they were thrown out, right? And we came in, because we had expertise in oil and gas in the upstream side, because the oil and gas is huge, right? So upstream. And as soon as we had the conversation, he was at ease because we could, we understood what he was talking about. We asked the right questions, I mean, we have got sales because we went into the room and asked just questions about that we know about the process in the industry, that we knew the answers, at least, of how other companies do. And we were asking specifics about how they work, So, yes, you're absolutely right.
It's trying to find like understanding their problem and then how your solution fits that problem and tailoring the language to their specific needs.
And how you're different, right? Because there's so many companies doing similar, things, right? Product or services. And how are you different? How are you really going to solve my problem? And they really want to get down to the the nitty gritty, right? So it's, and by the way, executives in oil and gas, they're not all about the numbers. I mean, they are, right? But they're also, usually of them came through the ranks. So they are experts in their field. So you talk to a VP of production, this person very likely went through production for years. He's not going to be just an MBA that doesn't know anything about production, right? So, yeah, that's the difference.
So I have a question for you. A lot of times the sales team comes in, they put the best ponies forward, right? They showcase whatever they have. Yeah. But the real question is, who's going to be working on my project?
Yes.
Right? And things get handed off. So I'm curious how you deal with that and how you sell the entire team.
I think in the end, they want to know, can we hold you responsible for what's going to happen here? If you're confident that you can do it, right? Sometimes that question can be averted by saying we are going to be responsible and we guarantee the work and we're going to work with you until it works. That's kind of the guarantee of my company, right? And I think that helps us a lot overcome who's going to be on the project, because in the end, also they have the same problem, right? Every single worker in their lines are not going to be always the top one, right? And so I think they understand that. I think it's a matter of, what are the risks? Do you understand what the risks are? What is your mitigation for the risk, right? So it's, again, consultative sale. It's not just like here's the pricing, here are the benefits. There is a whole plan how you're going to implement it, how you're going to mitigate risk, how you're different from anybody else, right? I think that's part of the process.
So I would love to hear your elevator pitch or your sales pitch at a conference here. If you run into somebody that has it, pitch me your company so people listening.
Yeah, sure. Sure. I think so. We help companies basically produce more with less. How do we do that? We basically give you a set of predictions about your production, right? So that workers, when I arrive, they are not blindsided for what's happening. So they're not reactive. And so by reducing the reactiveness to the operations, we reduce a lot of the costs associated with that, and we can increase production as well by 15%. That's the high level pitch,
I love it. Yeah. All right. Is there anything else that I know there's so much to cover, but is there anything that is like something that you believe all salespeople need to know when they're going in, or how they need to be thinking about that approach? And like, for example, what if a deal goes sideways or something like that? Like how they position themselves, like you said, the trust component. But throughout that sales process, there's a lot going on. Like, what's the biggest takeaway, I guess?
I think, to me, oil and gas is huge, but it's not. So your reputation, it is your currency. Are you perceived as somebody trustworthy? This is something you're going to have to build from the beginning, right? Are you trustworthy? Are you reliable, right? Do you know what you're talking about, right? So that means you have to educate a lot yourself. Companies might not offer you, a lot of the big companies offer, education plans, and but I think pick up books, podcasts, right? You have many of them to choose from. I think getting educated, go to networking events, meet people, ask questions, be known, and know other people, develop those relationships. It takes time, right? It's not, Roma wasn't built in a day, right? So your career will not be built in one day. So I think the biggest takeaway is, guard your reputation as is your life, because it is your sales life, right? Yeah.
And Ian, if somebody wants to find out more about what you or your company is doing, how do they get in touch with you?
Sure. I mean, we're at timbergrove.com. It's our domain name, right? I'm in LinkedIn, Ian Uarte, very easy actually by default and by design. I'm very easy to find. So very uncommon name, first Ian and last Uarte. So very easy to find me. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you,
Ian,
Matt, so much for coming on
pleasure.
the show. Everyone, remember, make a difference, not a sale.
Thanks for listening to OGGN, the world's largest and most listened to podcast network for the oil and energy industry. If you like this show, leave us a review and then go to OGGN.com to learn about all our other shows. And don't forget to sign up for our weekly newsletter. This show has been a production of the Oil and Gas Global Network.